Petri dishes, as we know. Good afternoon. I hope everyone is doing well on this snowy day. Due to the emergency declaration, we are hosting our February 23rd Economic Development Cultural Committee. I am the chair of this committee, Xavier Santiago. We're officially calling this meeting to order at 6:32 p.m. Tonight, we're joined by Khalid Nixon, our staff liaison to our committee. I'd also like to welcome our chair, Adem Briha, who's attending. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. One, no one may speak until granted the floor. Two, CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. To raise your hand through Zoom, click the participants icon and you will find the raise hand function there. If you have technical difficulty, click the chat icon and relay your difficulty to the staff. Three, members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. Four, the chat function should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record when recognized. Chat should only be used to alert us to technical difficulties or if you are having or to state in writing information like an email address that was already stated aloud on record during the meeting. When a member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you and you can unmute yourself so that you may speak. Six, please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. Seven, members of the public, if you have questions or comments about subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. And as a final member, per the Open Meetings Law and guidance by MPBO's legal, we need to have our cameras on during the meeting to count towards quorum because we must be seen and heard, but more importantly, seen at this point. So that we will now take attendance by roll call. Committee members, you can unmute yourselves and answer present when your name is called. Khalid. And you are muted.
Yeah, sorry, guys. It's like on a laptop, it's a little bit more difficult. Okay, there are 9 committee members and 5 are needed for quorum. Rosa Diaz,
Present.
Ayana Joseph,
Present.
Samantha Pedrero.
Present.
Thank you. Debbie Quinones,
Present.
Xavier Santiago,
Present.
Vinny Torres. Let me just make sure he's not. Okay. Where was I? Anne-Marie Vasquez,
Present.
Nye Whitaker.
Present.
Thank you. Agatha White.
Present.
Thank you. You have quorum, Chair.
Thank you very much, Clayton. Don't worry, we understand that when you're on a laptop, how limiting it can be. Adoption of the agenda. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office. Thank you, Khalid, for circulating that. And it was posted online. If there are no objections, we'll adopt the agenda as stated. Committee members, if you wish to object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Okay. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. For those members of the public, you can go to our website at CB11M for Manhattan.org, go to the meetings tab, click that. It will take you to our calendar. And on tonight's meeting, you will find our agenda there with the hyperlinks attached to the agenda. The minutes from our last meeting were distributed to committee members ahead of time by the board office. If there are no objections, we will adopt the minutes from that meeting. Committee members, if you object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand and wait to be recognized.
Hello.
Yes. Rosa?
The minutes attached.
No, they were circulated earlier, I believe. Were they not, Khalid?
They should have been added. Give me 1 second to double check. 1 second, please.
They are in the folder. I know I looked at them in the folder. So
Yes, they're definitely in the board member drive, accessible by everyone, including Rosa. So let me just double check if I sent it in the actual email. If not, I apologize for that. But yeah, the minutes are always available via the board member drive.
I want to thank Anne-Marie Vasquez for taking the minutes last month. I should politely do that again this month. And then in the following months, I would like to delegate this to some of our committee members to continue building out the pipeline of leadership and learning how you can become more involved with the board's work, especially at the committee level. So, okay. I'm going to table that for right now so we can carry on with the meeting. If you can just confirm it when you have a moment, please.
Yes, Rosa, if you look at the first email I sent on Tuesday, February 10th, everything was included.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any objections to adopting the minutes from last month's meeting? Okay. Seeing no hands raised, the meeting minutes are officially adopted. Okay. Informational updates. All right. First, we have the New York City Economic Development Corporation, NYC EDC, or as you'll affectionately be referred to, EDC, has their annual investment projects report for fiscal year 2025. Focuses on EDC's projects that support investment, job creation, job retention, and growth in New York City. This year's report includes information on 443 projects receiving financial assistance in the form of loans, grants, or tax benefits. You will find in the agenda the link to that website and where you can actually read the report. Next, we had the Manhattan Clean Energy Hub resource exists to help tenants, nonprofits, small businesses, and affordable housing owners in Manhattan learn about low and no-cost renewable energy upgrades that improve indoor air quality and reduce utility costs free of charge, including connecting interested job seekers to clean energy careers. Full presentation anticipated for our March 2026 Housing Committee meeting. As I said previously, please go to our website where you can register and attend that presentation. Next, we have the NYC Department of Small Business Services is offering financial coaching in partnership with the Next Street to strengthen small business owners' business finances. Through this program, eligible small businesses located in NYC can connect with professional businesses, the business coach for support in separating personal and business expenses, developing financial projections, taxes, check-in and check-up, understanding financial documents, and QuickBooks overview. Highly recommend anyone who's interested in this and participating so you're not walking up to your accountant with a shoebox full of receipts called keepers. Finally, last but not least, the NYC Department of Small Business Services celebrates Black History Month, delivering free services directly in your neighborhood through the NYC Business Solution Centers. Schedule free one-on-one consultation to get help with financing, legal services, and other business needs. So those are some of our announcements. Do any of our committee members have any announcements to share? Okay, seeing none, we'll now move on to informational updates. And I do encourage all our committee members, and thank you for everyone here having your cameras on and everything. Please, 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 if you get information about an event, circulate it to us. We'll get it distributed. We'll get it put on in the newsletter. Adem's been really great. We did that during my tenure. It's fantastic. It's a way to push it out, share it within your internal networks as well. Okay, back over here. Next, we have Mount Sinai nurses strike update. We should have Brad Beckstrom here with us to give us a brief update. I see him right here. Let me promote him to panelist real quick. Just give a moment. Okay, Brad.
There. Hey, guys. Thank you for inviting me, and I appreciate the opportunity to update. Honestly, I'll probably be very, very quick. I think everybody was aware that we did have a nurses' strike. Actually, it lasted for about a month at Mount Sinai. You know, the one thing I want to keep pointing out is during that interim, we were able to maintain all of our services, so everything was open. But the really good news is we have reached agreement with NYSNA. The membership did vote. They overwhelmingly, to the tune of about over 90%, voted in favor of the contract that was eventually adopted. They actually began returning to work on January the 12th. That actually happened over a 2 or 3 day period. So by the 14th, they were back, in full operation. Our traveler nurses at that point in time were gone. So our nurses are back. I think things overall are going very smoothly. And again, all services continue to run. I think that's really it, unless there's questions. But, the good news is there's a settlement, they're back, and it's a 3-year contract, and we move forward.
Okay, I have a question from Nye Whitaker. Nye, you're recognized.
Hey, Brad, how are you?
Hello.
I'm just
Hey,
curious.
good to see you.
How are you? Good to
Good.
see you. Haven't seen you in a while. I'm happy, first of all, that has been rectified. My mom worked at Mount Sinai for 50 years. It's an important institution for our community. I am just curious, and I don't know if this data has been shared in the past, and this is something that you can email us later if you don't have it, but how many, whether it's nurses or just staff in general, from CB11 are employed at Mount Sinai and its related partner
So I
sites?
can get updated data, but it's about 2,000. I'm going off of
Okay.
memory here. It's
Okay.
right around 2,000, give or take a little bit. And
Mhm.
when we say in Community Board 11, I want to be clear, it's the zip codes that you identify, which as I recall was 2928, and I think it was part of one of the zip codes. So it's, but if you define, we can get those numbers rerun, but it's usually right around 2,000 individuals who live in the community, work at Mount Sinai.
Thank you so much for that information.
Do you want to give me the zips again, and I'll have that rerun, and then I can get that back to Xavier and he can share with the community? Because honestly, I think it's been probably about a year or 6 months since we've run that data.
129, 135.
2935. Okay, and that's what we used before. Yep. Okay.
All right, wonderful. Seeing no other questions. All right, thank you so much for
Yeah,
being
yeah,
with
yeah.
us,
Put me back
Brad.
on mute. I'll
And,
listen for a while. And then I know, Xavier, I need to set up a meeting with you with regard to the jobs fair. Now that the strike is over, our HR folks are focused on other things. So we're going to do a call with them to participate in your jobs fair.
that would be fantastic. Thank you so much, Brad.
Yep.
Appreciate the partnership.
Okay. And thanks everybody for your support.
Yeah, thank you. Next, we have informational updates from our city agencies. Do we have a representative from NYC Small Business Services? I know we will have a presentation coming down the line. Thank you, Kira, for that introduction. But do we have any of our other, if you could please raise your hand, if we have a representative from SPS. Okay. Not seeing any. Well, I have one attendee here. Anna Gross. You're allowed, you've been unmuted. Anna, are you with SBS?
Yes, I am. I'm just here actually listening to Joe and Michelle from Union Settlement speak because I'm working with them. I'm on the neighborhood. Within the neighborhood development division at SBS, and I'm working with them on some projects in East Harlem. So I'm not sure if I wanted to speak up, but I'm not sure if I'm technically representative of SBS in this capacity. Just listening.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to, yes, because I sent you an email, and so I'd love to set up a call and have you come and present about the projects you're working here, and then be able to present to the committee as well. Looking, generally you have someone from SBS who shows up, but we'll chase that down as well. But I appreciate you attending. You get a feel for what we do. Tomorrow is our full board. We're all 50 of our members. We attend and conduct the business on behalf of the community. So I'd encourage you to attend that as well, so you can get a kind of taste of things to come.
Oh, thanks. How good.
All right, wonderful. All right, do we have anyone from Department of Consumer and Worker Protection? Okay. And anyone from EDC? Please raise your hand. If not, we will reach out to them again and encourage. Usually quarterly is when they would come in. Okay, seeing no hands, we'll now go to the MTA, coordinating for local hiring job fair to facilitate phases 2 and 3 of the Second Avenue Subway project. I believe I saw Joe O'Donnell on. You want to flick on your camera and give us an update there, please, Joe?
Xavier, how are you? Good to see you. Yes, thanks so much for having me. And Adem, thanks so much for recommending I come by to the Eco Dev Committee. We did an update to Community Board 11's Transportation and Safety Committee last week. One of the items that we talked about was, or maybe it was 10 days ago now, but one of the things that we talked about was we are in the throes of planning for a local hiring event. I think this committee knows full well, or most of you know. I know sometimes there's been some, or there has been some change, but until 2020, we did not have the luxury of implementing local hiring components to our Second Avenue subway, or in fact, any federally funded projects, because of the fact that we had the potential to jeopardize our federal funding. Fast forward to 2020, and now we can incentivize our contractors to local hire. We do have a local hiring component for contracts 2, 3, and 4 of the Second Avenue Subway project. Contract 2 was awarded in August of last year, given the notice to proceed in September. They've expended about 7% of the contract thus far, ramping up. And so now we're ready to implement a jobs fair where we have some real tangible jobs. I think Community Board 11 knows we've done job events in the past tied to Second Avenue Subway, but those were designed to make marriages between folks who were looking for pathways to unionized jobs and middle income jobs, and the folks who could deliver those jobs because we didn't have them on our project. Now we have tangible jobs that we can offer on this project. So we're still going to partner with Building and Construction Trades Council. I've already had conversations with SBS, Positive Workforce. Hi, Michelle. I know you and I have exchanged emails about the possibility of working together. NYCHA. So there's a whole host of folks, CUNY Wrangle Institute, that we're going to be working on for this jobs event right now. Going back and forth with Congressman Espaillat, trying to find dates that work for him. But it's looking like last week of March or first week of April is what we're targeting right now.
Okay, thank you for that. Joe, are there any questions from the committee members? So I know you have this separate jobs fair coming up, but we'd also encourage you to participate with what we're planning as a more holistic May or June jobs fair.
Sure, absolutely. Our project management team, we have now implemented a project management team to organize or manage the future contracts, the contract 2, 3, and 4. They've already started working with folks. They've participated in a couple of the local jobs fairs already. We've gotten 11 folks who have applied for internships, 2 of which have been brought in for interviews, 1 who's already been hired. So we are eager to participate.
Okay, fantastic. We'll keep you tuned in on that. Again, Vinny will hopefully be joining us soon. But hitting on those entry-level construction jobs, MWBE jobs, and contracts, but also to a way kind of spread out and help those that are coming out of a non-traditional college track, that they can have great paying jobs and really contribute to the fabric of our nation and our city. So thank you so much. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much for being with us, Joe. We'll be in touch. Appreciate it.
Look forward to it.
Next, we have Michelle Cruz and Joe Rogers from Union Settlement with our updates, business development organizations, and then we'll do workforce development, and then arts and culture orgs and committee engagement and outreach. So, well, you both are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yep. And we do have your
Okay.
presentation as item number 7, so that we're going to hit later. So this is just general updates you have before we jump into that.
Oh, I see. I think that will be the primary focus of our comments today. So we'll focus on that update, and there'll be more the next meeting.
Okay, great.
Right. One thing I will say, actually, Xavier, if you don't mind, one thing I will share, we have a financial management workshop series for small businesses that we're conducting in conjunction with the collaboration from Amalgamated Bank. I'll put some information in the chat about that a little bit later, but the next session is on tax compliance, making sure that our small businesses in the community are well prepared and equipped to satisfy all their tax filing obligations. And the next session, this is a 4-part, 4-workshop series, that the next session is this Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's open to all East Harlem small businesses. And again, I'll put some information in the chat about that. The final session will be on debt management, which relates very closely to the other information we're going to share today when we talk about the emergency support survey. The final session will be on Monday, March 2nd, also from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And these workshops are being held at Sendero Verde in collaboration with Eastside Family Soul, the Family Enrichment Center located in that facility. So we look forward to serving. We've had a great start. We've had 2 sessions so far, and look forward to expanding the number of small business owners who benefit from this expert instruction and guidance from our banking partners.
Okay, that's great. Please get that information over and we'll circulate it. Michelle,
You're
welcome. Do you have anything you wanted to add for informational updates? Because we will jump into the presentation discussion as the main course in a bit.
No updates.
Okay. All right. Emery, you have a question.
Hi, Joe. Do you have an idea of how many businesses attended those 2 sessions?
I don't, you know, I haven't looked at the combined numbers, and we had a number of repeat folks, so that they appreciated and benefited from the first session, so they returned. If I had to estimate, I'd say probably about 10 business owners across the two sessions. And I know we have additional folks who didn't participate in sessions 1 and 2 who are registered for 3 and 4.
And one more question. Do you have an idea if the bank can offer them during like after 5 o'clock or any other time? 10 instead of 10 to 11, maybe in the future?
Yeah, I think that's something we can discuss with them, certainly. Yeah. I think we targeted the morning because a lot of the businesses are, as you know, are restaurants and folks who, don't open till later in the afternoon or in the evening, and we didn't want to interfere with their schedules. But I think it would be a good idea. And your recommendation is noted, that there are other businesses who would benefit from being attending in the evening or afternoon. So yeah, we'll go back to the drawing board on that and see what we can do with those partners. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne Marie. All right, thanks. Do we have, I see Ashley Segay. Are you with an arts organization, workforce development, business development?
Hi, good afternoon. No, I'm also another folk from SBS.
Okay, and are you the representative here to give updates, or are you just here to observe?
I'm here to observe.
Okay, all right, thank you. And I have a Savona Bailey McLean.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I didn't have a report for today. It won't be until April, but I was here to observe.
Okay, which you're with SBS as well, or?
No, I'm with the West Harlem Art Fund.
Okay, the West Art Fund. Okay, so we'll look forward to that in April then. Thank you very much. And it's helpful, and I already addressed with Anna, thank you very much for being here. If you could put where you have up here in the rename, just put in what org you're with. It just makes it easier for the staff and for us to conduct business, especially when we're virtual. When we're all in the same space, say, hi, I'm so-and-so. All right, wonderful. We're going to move on. Committee engagement and outreach. We will actually be dealing with that with our business outreach. We'll have a brief update from Nye. We had a good meeting with Joe and last Tuesday, I believe it was. So we'll get to that toward the end of the meeting, if that's all right. And I've also set up, which I sent to all of you. We'll pull it up. The business tracker contact information, which I just want to express to everyone. We want to keep that confidential because sometimes it has personal cell phone numbers for the owners and whatnot. So again, we'll pull that up. It's not going to be populated, but we'll deal with that under old business. So I'll move the meeting along to presentations and discussions. We have a presentation, East Harlem Small Business Survey Response Analysis from Union Settlement Association. I will hand it over to you, Joe and Michelle.
Thanks, Chair. Do you mind if I share my screen?
Not at all. Khalid,
Okay.
Does he have permission?
He should. Yeah, you're a panelist, Joe. You should be able to share it. Excellent. Go ahead.
Okay. How are we looking here? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. So I just a quick background here. We were hearing, meaning my name is Joe Rogers. I'm a senior project consultant with Union Settlement's Economic Development Department. I work closely with Michelle Cruz, who's here, as you noted, our Chief Program and Community Impact Officer, and a small business expert here in East Harlem. We've been hearing, and I know also our partners at Uptown Grand Central and a number of Community Board 11 members have been hearing from businesses throughout East Harlem saying that they're having a hard time keeping their doors open. These are not just brand new businesses that have been in the game maybe a couple years or less than a couple years. These are our longstanding sort of marquee small businesses that have been serving our community for a long time and doing a great job, who are having a hard time continuing to serve our community. And so I want to share a bit about a survey that we administered in collaboration with Community Board 11's Economic Development Committee with Uptown Grand Central recently. Because we received so many of these requests and alerts from businesses saying, we're not sure if we can keep our doors open for another couple months or through the end of the year. we said we've heard it, we've received enough anecdotal information, suggested that we need a coordinated response. And so we brought together our partners, again, CB11 partners, Uptown Grand Central partners, to figure out, to sort of talk about what we've been hearing, and then to begin to respond to some of these needs and concerns that business owners have expressed, especially over the past few months, through the end of last year into the beginning of this year. So I'm here today to share a bit of what we learned from the survey that we administered in collaboration with the partners, and to talk a little bit about the solutions and interventions that we're beginning to formulate. And also just to hear, hopefully if we have time, to hear from other attendees who have not been involved in this effort, what you all think, whether you're small business owners or community leaders in other domains, what you think we can do to respond to the concerns that have been highlighted through this coordinated effort. So see if, there we go. So again, this is, I just explained the community context. Very specifically, business owners were complaining about rising costs, declining sales, and a large amount of debt that they were juggling. Just to give you a little background on the survey, this that we had ultimately, thanks through this coordinated effort, Community Board 11, Uptown Grand Central did a great job of spreading the word to particularly legacy businesses in the community. And ultimately, we got a pretty good cross-section of small business owners, a total of 49 respondents. These aren't the big chains. These are small businesses, a lot of them mom and pop shops with just one location. They're mostly from the food service and retail industries. Again, as I mentioned earlier, these aren't just brand new businesses, folks who aren't invested in the community, sort of drive-by operations. The majority of the respondents have operated in our community, have served our community for 10 years or more. Some of the challenges, again, these are anecdotal. Initially, these were anecdotal items that were highlighted in conversations and emails and text messages. Sometimes we react to those stories without actually fully assessing the information and employing a methodical, sort of systematic approach. So these are some of the things we're hearing that prompted the emergency meeting and then the administration of the survey. Again, rising operating costs, and those include, no surprise to those of you who are in economic development or own businesses yourself, rent, utilities, payroll, and fees, especially fees for garbage and penalties for various violations. Declining revenue and foot traffic. Some folks are not coming out, and that's for a variety of reasons. One reason mentioned by some business owners is that many of our members of our immigrant community have been fearful of stepping out onto the street in light of the recent federal immigration enforcement. And that's had an impact, obviously, directly on community residents, but then ultimately on our business owners, many of which cater to immigrant populations. Compounding debt, businesses facing pressure from not only rent, but also from utilities. And we'll talk about that in slightly more detail in a moment. What do we find through this survey? We're just highlighting a few of the key findings here. The average rent owed by these 49 respondents was $16,200. There's a really wide range there. So some folks are maybe a month or so behind, and that's probably the lower end of the spectrum. You're looking at the $1,500 level, and a business that owed the most owed $58,000 in back rent, and the number of months behind ranged from 1 month to almost nearly a year, 10 months. We also heard a lot about utilities, and we asked specifically how much folks owed in back utility arrears. The average owed was $6,000. Again, I should mention the timestamp on this. This was in January, just to give you a little more context. The range in utility arrears was $600 up to $40,000. And then similarly to the rent arrears, the number of months behind was 1 month all the way up to a full year of utilities owed. Businesses just not being able to afford those bills. So what did they say? We also asked questions about the need and what would be most helpful to keep them afloat and ultimately to help them thrive. That's the ultimate goal here. We want our businesses to, we want the revenue and the foot traffic to rain down or to snow down in the same way that the snow, came down over the past day or so. We want that kind of support for the businesses. They said short-term interventions that could help, emergency relief grants. That's something, as you all know, that was quite common throughout the pandemic and kept a lot of our businesses open at that time. Low or no interest loans, and then immediate cash flow support for the arrears that we just looked at for rent and utilities specifically. What are some longer term interventions? They said, we need a cash infusion right now, but there are some systemic issues, some structural issues that if, Community Board 11 and agencies and nonprofits like Union Settlement, Uptown Grand Central, and our partners in government. I should mention that I think I failed to mention earlier that the other partners that came to that emergency meeting and were part of this important effort were the council member Encarnacion and her team. So again, it's government, nonprofit, and small business owners collaborating here. So in terms of structural interventions, long-term financing or sort of refinancing of loans, those hefty loans that we talked about, grants to reduce ongoing debt burden, and then neighborhood investments. What are some coordinated approaches that we can take working with our government partners and our philanthropic partners, perhaps, to address quality of life issues that many business owners cited as an impediment to their progress, to their sustainability, and to their ability to to grow and succeed in East Harlem. And among those are lighting, safety, more events. I know some of our organizations host events, kind of bring the community out to connect with small businesses they may not be aware of, and then additional marketing support, sort of coordinating marketing campaigns was also mentioned as a longer term solution. What are the key takeaways here? This is an issue of acute financial distress. These businesses, often they'll start with a very small debt burden. They'll fall behind maybe a month or two, and they're hopeful that they'll be able to stem the tide of this overwhelming debt burden, the tsunami of debt. But very quickly adds up, and they find they're unable to dig themselves out, particularly in the restaurant industry, which, as you know, has thin margins. And we believe, and these businesses, obviously, they're invested in the community. If these businesses, our longstanding anchor businesses, were to close, it'd be a loss not only of neighborhood infrastructure and services, but I would argue also of neighborhood culture. These businesses, if they're not cultural institutions, they contribute to the cultural fabric in a way that I know that this committee in particular, which blends economic development and culture, can appreciate. So it'd be a huge loss for us to let these businesses close their doors. Again, going back to solutions, sort of summing up some of the short-term and long-term solutions that we discussed a little earlier. We need to strike this balance between these immediate survival needs. What are the emergency investments and supports that we can provide? And then again, these longer-term investments that may need to be coordinated with maybe some of the utilities companies and working closely with our allies in government. Targeted emergency support combined with long-term neighborhood investment. It's kind of the overarching message here. And that's it for the presentation. If you'd like more information, if you have recommendations, suggestions, additional insights, this is our first time, at least in recent years, conducting this kind of survey with our partners. And I think that we need to do more of this systematic information collection, analysis. And then the key here is obviously to take action. And that's why we're here today, is to share the information so that collectively we can develop the solutions that our businesses are desperate for with our support. Also, I just want to mention, if you have any general inquiries, if you're a small business owner and perhaps you're not receiving our small business updates, that's for Union Settlement. We regularly send out information about the types of trainings I mentioned earlier to help support small businesses, other events that you may want to plug into to raise your visibility and to draw additional foot traffic to your business. Encourage you to email economicdevelopment@unionsettlement.org. And as you can see, my email address there is consultjrogers at unionsettlement.org. So that's the end of the presentation for now. I'd love to hear from you, additional ideas, questions, things that we should look into as we proceed to address these emergency needs. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Adam Brion, our chair of the board.
Thanks, Xavier. I don't have a question. I just kind of want to echo something Joe said, specifically about the culture aspect of this committee. I think we, and rightfully so, we focused a lot on the business, the economic development portion, because I think our community is getting, it's been rough and it's getting worse, and Second Avenue is going to get a lot worse, I think, before it gets better with the subway. With that said, I think part of what can solve these solutions, and we talked about that in that meeting with Union Settlement, Xavier, Elsie and her team, and it might have been brought up already, but part of helping these businesses is also long-term solutions, which is bringing economic drivers to this community. And I think that's where the cultural part of this can play towards helping the businesses a lot and lend to helping economic development. I'm thinking about something like Casa Belongo coming to Timbali Terrace and bringing some much needed life to Park Avenue. And I think just when we do get recognized, trying to shout that out to everybody, right? So, and I'll end on these last two things. La Marqueta, I believe, was featured in the Super Bowl during Bad Bunny's show. That's something we should be talking about. And it's a big, big thing. And, that means there's maybe also a moment here, right? And it should be more than a moment, but it's this type of stuff that we can seize on. And, we had the mayor at the groundbreaking at Timbali Terrace, right? The more we can stay visible and stay seen just as a board. And, I think sometimes people think being seen means it's about them. And it's like, no, we're all board members. Being seen on behalf of the board and repping yourself as a board member and as this board and repping our culture and what's going on here, I think that'll go a long way to helping our small businesses in the long run and really shaping this, in addition to the wonderful things that Joe and everybody's doing at Union Settlement to kind of hold us over, I think, till we try to get there. So that's all I wanted to say, but thank you.
Thank you. Chair, may I also respond to that? I just wanted to touch on the solutions, the range
Yes,
of solutions that we're considering. Okay, thank you.
Sure, Joe, go ahead.
So just, I think it's important what Adem said about leveraging the cultural draw of our community, better networking it, getting some synergy going amongst the culture institutions. That's something that we're working on with some of the folks in this meeting here, per the East Harlem Theater and Cultural Feasibility Study, this building on the legislation that was passed around creating an East Harlem Arts District. But there are sort of four categories or four chunks of categories of solutions that we're looking at as Union Settlement in collaboration with our partners. And those are, in response to the business owners' express needs, additional marketing support. We have these creative video-based solutions. There's a Who's on Second campaign that some of you may be familiar with, highlighting businesses along Second Avenue that, as Adem mentioned, are really suffering now through the construction project. We're also looking to make additional investments in the storefront revitalization project that we're undertaking and that will soon be open for applications for business owners along 116th Street. So trying to subsidize some of the available funds there to make it easy and lower the bar for businesses that need to spruce up their storefront, whether it's doors, windows, awnings, new paint job that will attract additional foot traffic. We're looking at targeted consulting support, not just, our workshops are amazing, but sometimes businesses need a sort of heavier touch, more partner to walk with them through, whether it's reimagining their business plan or focusing on their digital marketing strategy. That's sort of a third area in which we want to provide more support. And then, as I said before, the sort of policy and legislative solutions, working closely with government to change, maybe it's the policies and regulations around utilities. There's some legislation that I think many on this call are familiar with that's been tried for a number of years around commercial rent stabilization. So that's something that we're also looking at. And so it's a multi-pronged solution here. And we have our capacity, our capacity is is significant but limited. But I think collectively we're able to address some of these issues holistically when we pool our resources and talents. And this committee and other agencies who are working these issues have enormous expertise. And so I just wanted to highlight the solutions because we spent a lot of time on the challenges there. Thank you, Adam, for nudging me in that direction. And I also want to open up for, I don't know if Michelle Cruz has any additional thoughts or insights on the next steps or the survey itself, but I wanted to make sure that gave her a chance to comment if she wants to. Thank you.
Well, no, you said it very well. I know that we're at time, Xavier, but I think Joe wrapped up on the focus, what we're focusing on moving forward.
No, I appreciate the consideration of the time, but it is a very important issue. And thank you, Dem. And I speak very often in our concerns, and I would share, with the groundbreaking into volunteers, which was a very challenging moment for this community and the board when we went through that vetting process. One of the add-ons, though, is that we get the Afro-Latin Jazz Ensemble is going to have a permanent home. So that's an example of culture that will be offering programs for our community. But you look at the other side with the decrease in funding federally, when you look at the Museum of the City of New York versus El Museo took a larger hit because a lot of those things that were more focused for federal grants at the cultural level just went away. But I think these are things we can plug in when we go to the next stage, as we've discussed, which is reaching out to these businesses, the cultural institutions, and expanding what the survey is, so we make sure that nothing's falling through the gaps. So that's very helpful. Do any of our committee members have questions on this? I'm not seeing any hands. If you do have any questions, I encourage you, please email them to us. We'll forward them to Joe and Michelle, who have leaned in significantly. We will transition to the next part of our agenda. But before we do, the review of the spreadsheet for small business outreach, which will play a part with our next steps with union settlement. I just wanted to acknowledge Carrie King from Uptown Grand Central to see if she had any informational updates real quick.
I know you guys have a packed meeting. So just want to say happy snow day. A lot of things that were supposed to happen this weekend did not happen, but will eventually happen. A lot of economic and cultural pieces. There are a few events coming up that we'll be shared in the community board newsletter. Yesterday was supposed to be Sunday afternoon at Elmendorf, which is a celebration of the Harlem African Burial Ground history in East Harlem at their home church. The home church of the individuals that were buried at the burial ground is Elmendorf Reformed Church on East 121st Street between Lex and 3rd. And so for the past 3 years with the council member, we've put on a concert there along with representatives from EDC who share information about the current status of the burial ground, which just finished its second phase of archaeology. So because of the snow, that got moved to March 15th. So you still have an opportunity to attend. The music is going to be by the Rakeem Walker Project with delicious cake from Lloyd's Carrot Cake. So that'll be on the 15th. And it's a great chance to not only explore one of those cultural gems that we want to bring to make more present in the community and to let people know about, as well as get some good cake. And then also this past weekend, Uptown Burger Weeks was supposed to begin. As you guys know, Restaurant Week is the downtown thing, where it was started downtown. It's usually participated in by downtown restaurants. During COVID, it was opened up to the businesses uptown, but then the fees were brought back, and to join the Restaurant Week, the big one, can be like $900, $1,000. So, once the free memberships were ended, it was really hard for East Harlem businesses to participate. So this year we have no East Harlem businesses in Restaurant Week. So we're starting these mini Restaurant Weeks, which are focused on different foods. So this one is Uptown Burger Week. And then following that will be Uptown Wing Week, different types of cuisines, so that the price tag for customers can be not $40 for a 3-course or $60 for a 3-course, but more like 10 or 15 for a burger and fries, that kind of thing. So we can get more of our residents participating, as well as make it more affordable to small businesses. So look for that to be rolling out now that the snow has stopped. And then the third thing, I'm just going to do 3 events and then I'll stop, Xavier, is the Lunar New Year. And we might talk a little bit more about this in the last part of the meeting. But we do have a lot of Asian-owned businesses here in East Harlem. And one of them is the newest vendor at La Marqueta, Mama T. She's Filipina. She calls it Amera Asian. It's a kind of fusion of lots of different kinds of cuisines, that she wanted to create a Lunar New Year celebration for residents of the neighborhood. There's one for seniors that's at Johnson Community Center, but this one is more for the whole community, and that'll be this Sunday, March 1st. And Liz may be not in the panelist section. So I don't know if you see Liz Goray down there, but she might be able to speak about it at some point. But I know you guys, there's a tight agenda, so I'm going to be quiet.
I don't see a Liz here, and I don't see a Liz. But no, if you just want to give a little information on that.
Yeah, there's going to be all kinds of fun things, including a lion dance, some partnerships with Columbia University, which has, a large Asian student population, as well as Heart of Dinner. And you might have heard of Heart of Dinner. They do food. They help with food distributions to Asian seniors with foods that are culturally appropriate. So like some of the cabbages and squashes that are particularly loved by the Asian community. So they're going to be there. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff. But I'll share the flyer as well, so that can be in the newsletter.
Okay. Thank you so much, Carrie.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right. And now we'll transition back to old business, which is review of the spreadsheet for small business outreach. And then that will also deal with the conversation with Nye and Joe and that we had talking about creating a hot sheet. Sorry, we're a little behind on that, but I don't think many of us would have been out going door to door in this weather right now anyway. So we just had someone join. With that, Khalid, would you mind popping that up on the screen? And I have removed information that will be in there. It's on a separate, just because, like I said earlier, there could be individual owners' personal cell phones they put as the primary contact. This is for internal board use and for us to be able to connect and then work with our partners such as Union Settlement, Uptown Grand Central, to get resources. And as we spread out the survey and try to get a bigger net cast across the community district. So Khalid, would you mind popping that up? And thank you everyone for your patience. Okay, so what we have here. Yep, thank you so much, Khalid. I appreciate it and everyone's patience. So this is a very rudimentary. I encourage you, if there information we want to add, we can, but like we discussed last month, is to keep it simple. So you would walk in with this link with the hot sheet, which we'll talk about in just a bit. But you would walk in with a print up or a link or QR code that you could share, where they could get easy access information that we would house here at CB11, whether it's a link to Union Settlement and the work they do, or SBS, et cetera, and so on, as a way in, like it's our welcoming card. You would then asked to speak to the owner, the manager, explain I'm a member of Community Board 11. We're really trying to outreach to all of our small businesses and make sure they not just survive, but thrive. And you would collect their information. So the first thing obviously would be the business name, or DBA, doing business as, the business legal name, which is typically an LLC or a corp, the owners, if listed, the address, the contact number, email, how many years, and other metrics we can put in these columns. So I would like the committee, if there's other metrics you would like to get, that when they go for an intro, we could add in, we can. The other thing too, I would encourage, is what their top issue is, right, before we get them included into the survey, because ideally is getting that wider netcast. We are able to at least find out what their number one issue is. Say it's like cleanliness on the streets, like trash pickup. There's always an issue there. Or that there's, it could be loitering, or it could be my taxes have just gone up exponentially, commercial lease after commercial lease after commercial lease. So things of that nature that we can get a better idea of how we can focus our offerings to them. So just wanted to share this. We will start populating this as you go out. The expectation is 3 businesses per month that you can walk into and introduce yourself. So for example, say I frequent, what is it, Churro Thai, or East Harlem Bottling Company, right? Or a particular pizza shop that I like and I love, right? Not naming names, but we do that. You meet the owner, explain everything, and see if you can just get their information. I say, let me get you on our email list. We also have a survey going out, and that can help you and us focus our contributions to your thriving. So, any questions on that? Okay. Yes, Agatha.
Hi, Xavier. Is this
Mhm.
going to go around in order, in any particular order, or just like random?
So,
What is the
so,
idea?
so ideally, so for example, I live on 102nd Street.
Mhm.
I want you to think of, we have access in our contact sheet that is internal and private. We have information, like we know where we generally live in the area. And in fact, the MBPO's office would add little bullet points on a map showing where the community board, not their addresses, but like near the block they lived. So I recommend spanning out like a web, like a spider web from where you live. What's your frequent walk to and from work? What subway stops do you go to on your way? Is there a business you go to get coffee, once a day or every other day? These are the kind of low-hanging fruit for outreach. People that you already have relationships with is a good way to start. With that, you can strike up a conversation, say, hey, this is what I'm doing. How are the other businesses doing down the block? What are you seeing? Do you know the owners? Would you mind making an introduction? It's a very like creating a very friendly, organic way of meeting the owners, getting their information, giving them our information that can help them down the line. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I also wanted to suggest perhaps we can pre-fill some of that information since it's already available. For example, on DOB now, and then going around and confirming with them. I'm not sure if that will be a little bit intrusive, but perhaps just to make the process a little easier.
Yeah, so if you know you're going to go by to visit, say, and I'm just using, because it's right near there, and I got dinner the other week. I went to go get Thai food, and I know the owners there. I could go ahead and pre-populate that before rocking up and saying, "Hey, could I get your email, your phone number? Here's a QR code to scan. We want to help you see if there are any issues you need us to address." Luckily, we have good relationships with that corridor because of the work we did during the pandemic, thanks to Uptown Grand Central, Civitas, and all the other partners, CB11, with our Open Street program on 101st. So again, I recommend going for the low-hanging fruit, right? I live on the block that Frenchie is on. No problem. I know the owners. They live on the block. We talk on a regular. So that is stuff that you could predetermine, go ahead and collect. But then the information to get their contact email, that's something you'll have to do in person and get their permission to sign them up for the newsletter, as well as to give them information, connect with our partners.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Samantha, your hand.
Yeah, I was wondering if this is also an opportunity to collectively as a board decide who we could bring in to feature. I remember when Jose was the chair, he would sometimes bring in local business owners to come talk to the group. Maybe we want to pick a selection from this list to do that to us.
I'm not opposed, as long as we're in compliance, and it's where I think we've done partnerships like that in the past. So any way we can to support. And I know Uptown Grand Central has done what was it? Not the cash mob. What was it called? Where we would go to a restaurant or bar, Carrie.
Yeah, Union Settlement's done a lot of cash
Oh,
mobs.
Union
We did them
Settlement.
we
Sorry,
did
Cash
them
Mob. Yeah.
together. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Both Union Settlement and Uptown. So that is another thing we can do to support. And we spread that word as well through our partners, because of us being a city agency. We have to follow some certain rules. So yeah, but it's a great idea. But yes, that's another way we could be once we have that connection. But this is the first handshake, if you will. So. Wonderful. If you have ideas, or if you want another column that you want to add, if you want to say top issue, top three, whatever, feel free to add it in here. You all have the ability to edit. We'll now transition to the kind of hot sheet, which we had a meeting with Joe and I. Thank you for spearheading that. And if you wanted to give just a quick update on that, if you are still here, you can stop sharing the screen now, Khalid. Thank you so much. Okay. And now, okay, you back. I mean, do you want to speak a little bit about our conversation last Tuesday? Yeah,
Sure.
or Joe? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm happy to start off and then kick it to Joe and Carrie. Thank you, Xavier. We had a conversation at a past meeting about creating some sort of, whether it's a business card or a palm card or a one sheet to leave with our small business owners, because many of them really don't know how they can interact with the community board. What they really know us for is that they have to come for their liquor license if they want a street closure, or if they're in trouble because of like 311 calls. But they're not really aware of other services and ways that we can be supportive and help them. And also some are not aware, though I think many are, of the great work going on through Union Settlement, Uptown Grand Central, and our local SBS partners. And so we just had a conversation first to gather some information to find out what Uptown Grand and Union Settlement was doing already so that we don't duplicate efforts, and to think about how we're going to address the entirety of our district. I know some questions came up in comments today. So a couple of things that we kind of honed in on. We don't have the actual sheet yet, but just a couple of tactics. First, to our chair's recommendation about being able to interact with some of the local businesses in our community, the ones that we frequent already, and start to kind of gather information about all these businesses. Yes, some is available through Carrie, through the city services, but others may not be. To determine whether or not translation services may be needed for when we're going out to do this engagement, whether it's Spanish or a French or an Asian language or Mandarin, et cetera. And to think about how we can partner with SBS, with our council members' office and other community partners, as well as nonprofits, to do that. And then we talked about this handout, like I said, to develop a business card or a handout with a QR code, linking them to the CB11 newsletter first and foremost is a way that they can get information. And then thinking about how we can include other contact information. So phone number, email for the main office at CB11, for Uptown Grand, and for Union Settlement Small Business Service and SBS. And so happy to have a second meeting with everybody to think about, what that looks like, because that's a lot of information and we don't want to give them a 12-page Bible. We just want to give them, one quick little neat handout. And then just thinking about how also our newsletter could be used as a stronger vehicle to help our small businesses by having a potential segment every month where we're putting in very specific information, repurposing from Uptown Grand and Union Settlement, but thinking about them, our small business owners, as an equal part of our newsletter communication, because a lot of our communications in the conversation, it seemed to be were considered more resident focused as opposed to small business focused. And I saw already this week there's been some information going out about getting funds, so thank you. The community board's already moving forward on it. And then having a scheduled partnership where CB11 would partner either vis-a-vis EcoDev or executive team or other board members with Union Settlement on their upcoming merchants events, and then anything else that Uptown Grand may be putting forward. So if some invitations are extended on the call. And then last but not least, we talked about what we could do for joint outreach. Joe had a great idea about partnering some of our very active small business owners, almost as peer outreach ambassadors with us as we're going to others. So for example, I heard Xavier say, if you're going to Churros, maybe you get someone from Churros to partner with you to go to other members of the community and other small business owners, et cetera, et cetera. Excuse me, I'm not feeling well. So that there's a trusted messenger with us as we do this outreach, especially considering a lot of the sensitivities going on right now. And then last but not least, and there was a lot more other things on here, we just talked about re-upping some of the materials that existed, the Uptown Grand Restaurant Guide, the Buy Local from Union Settlement, and then doing a joint presentation or some sort of webinar that could live in perpetuity on the various websites on the process for successfully completing and applying for your liquor license through CB11 and the process for successfully applying for a street closure permit, just so that people know the best way to interact with us. Yeah, I think that was the main things, but I'm going to turn it over to Joe and to Carrie for any other components I may have missed.
Thank you, Nye. Very helpful. Joe, Carrie.
Yeah. No, I think that was very thorough. Yeah, it was a great meeting, and I think you touched on everything we discussed tonight. And we're looking forward to partnering in whatever way the board determines is, and Uptown Grand Central determines is appropriate. We love the idea of amplifying some of the training opportunities and networking opportunities that we provide, sort of getting a double hit or second hit through your newsletter. I think that's a lot of businesses. There are a lot of resources out here that businesses are unaware of. So we love that idea, and also really love the idea of producing these webinars or videos on subjects such as how to apply for a liquor license, how to apply for a street permit or street activity. These are common questions that we all receive, and just poking around online, those resources, video resources, trustworthy source of information on those topics don't seem to be available or readily available. So yeah, just echoing everything you said, Nye. Thank you again for your leadership, bringing us together for the conversation.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
Carrie, you want to add to anything?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think the same thing. And Union Settlement and Uptown, between the two organizations, there's like 3 people. And we have lots of things to do. And there's thousands of businesses in East Harlem, thousands. So, we hit the ones that are responsive and we can build relationships with. And there's a bunch of businesses that either because of language issues or just the nature of the business may not have been responsive to us when we go. So it's really great to have the community board's support on some of these things. We have a large number of Asian businesses. I was able to share that spreadsheet today, and we would love help on that. And we can bring in trusted messengers. There's Harry Chin from the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce has done it with me before and is happy to do it again, to go around and break down some of those barriers that somebody like me might face if I go in and don't speak the language. We have some of the hair braiding salons. It would be great to do a round with them. But it's really great to have y'all's backing on this, because there's a lot of work and a lot of relationships to be built. And it's good for some of these communities to realize that they have a connection in the community board too. So we're grateful for y'all building that bridge with us. Thank you.
So Chair, I just wanted to follow up in preparation for tomorrow's meeting. I just didn't know if there's anything you need for us. We're kind of still a work in progress, but I just wanted to at least with this committee, make sure that we could agree to a few elements. And we're so lucky that we have our chair here, not just the committee chair, but our chair, to kind of review how we would do having some sort of like small business section of the newsletter on a regular basis without making it a burden for our staff, but something where Uptown Grand and Union Settlement can have a deadline where they just always send whatever it is, and there's a section. So it's really just more like a copy paste or an uplifting of something that already exists. And I know a lot of the flyers go in, but our concern was the flyers don't have an explanation, right? It doesn't have a narrative with it. It's just like, oh, come to this merchant meeting, but it doesn't really have the verbiage that says why it's important for people to show up. And so just kind of being a little more intentional to have descriptions to the information that goes out so that it's more inviting. And then also when we go door to door or storefront to storefront, we can be taking that information and being an ambassador and a vehicle for these communications to get out into the community.
Adam?
I mean, I can say yes to that now. If you guys want to like include all those things, but like Nye's saying basically, and it would have to be written through us, I would think that would be best, but maybe someone on the committee or you guys want to rotate on that. We could put all those flyers and everything, and like Nye said, maybe like put that all into kind of like a paragraph or something, and I think I'd welcome every committee to do that. I think that's a great idea. And Nye, you're welcome to bring it up at full board tomorrow, since it's your idea. So, and yes, and it's not more work. If you guys are writing it, then the staff just has to throw it in. I don't want to volunteer more work for the staff, but I think they'd be happy to do that. And I don't think that's a heavy lift. So thank you. Great idea.
Yep.
I might actually tell other committees to do that as well. So thank you.
Don't have them blaming me, Adam.
Well, I want to give you credit and take the blame, but I don't know how to do that. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. Thank you, Nye. I think the next steps is we're going to get the sheet put together. I know we were sending, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, that we were getting a kind of like consolidated info sheet, and then we can piecemeal. It's what they call, like when you're designing a web page, usability, that you go and you land on it, and but it's not overwhelmed with so much content, and then your eyes miss everything. So to be thoughtfully designed to where you can say, okay, this link is what I need because I need relief with or help with my property tax or my my utilities, and how can I get relief, or I'm renegotiating my lease. So kind of thinking of it in that sense, but they were going to send something over. So hopefully, if you guys are all fine with it, once we have something, Joe, to look at, we can start putting it together. And as a committee, once we have a draft, please poke your head into our Google Drive in the EcoDev and put your comments, recommendations, and we can approve edits if they seem to make sense and whatnot. I really encourage, it's a bit of a group project that way, but I really encourage, this is how you can get your hands into the mix. Um, so that will be our next steps. It does not, and I already seen Samantha, she already went in and started putting some information in. So thank you. So again, we will not be populating this and sharing it during our subsequent meetings. We'll be monitoring and just discussing updates, like say, Samantha already got 3, or she went ahead and she's gets a gold star because she got 30, well, that'd be more like a platinum star. So any event, those are the updates. So yes, thank you very much. And I just got an update from Brad that he's getting the data on the employment numbers and hopefully going to get something back to us ASAP. So thank you for the thoughtful conversation. Are there any other questions regarding this before we go to our job fair? Seeing, Anne Marie, who?
Hi, I have a question, but this question is for Joe and Michelle. I should have asked it before when you guys were presenting the small business survey analysis. I remember during our meeting, you guys mentioned you were going to take this information and provide it to one of your funders. I believe the one that the storefront funder, because there was some money left over or something to that effect. Just wondering, you guys gave this information to them and what happened from that conversation or whatever with those funders.
Thanks, Anne Marie. Michelle, do you like to comment on that?
Hi, yes, so we've shared it with all our funders, and we hope to hear something positive back from them. As soon as we hear back from them, we'll let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that question, Anne Marie. Very helpful in the follow-up. I would encourage everyone, again, if you have a question you've asked and we have people attending who presented, there's no harm in following up just to get a status update. So I do encourage that. The job fair that we've been talking about. So we already have MTA who said they want to get involved, Mount Sinai, thank you. Dem, who was at the groundbreaking for Timbali Terrace, who spoke to them as well, and expressed about our job fair. So you'll get us connected, and part of the focus will be more bespoke than previous. I had a conversation with our youth and education chair, Asher Rodriguez, and Asher would like to see if there's a way to hone in on some of the youth employment as well, whether that is people looking for that would qualify for SYEP, or we're looking for those that are just come out of high school. They don't know if they want to go to college just yet. They're thinking about it, but they need to get a job. So entry level as well. So these are the things that we will be discussing next. But it's looking like, from my point of view, I'm thinking, an early June would be ideal before we finish off the term, but it depends on how things come together right now. So I wanted to see if anyone had any questions. What your yes, Nai.
I was just saying, if I know it takes a lot of time to put these together, but for young people, getting to them before June is always helpful. They're looking for stuff for the summer. And so, whatever we could do to do it before school ends and kind of right after all the, May graduations, but before the June graduations could be really helpful.
Thank you, Nai. That's a great recommendation. I know public schools, the charter schools, and even those private schools all are on different tracks for when there's summer. Some end around mid-June. Others, if they're graduating, like you said, the end of May. So I think that's a very helpful note. Any other questions that we have with this? No. Okay. So Vinny, I'm gonna, Vinny obviously has a background in positive workforce and construction. I'm pretty sure he'll be able to offer some insight when we get a little further along for our meeting in March. And I thank you very much. So one of the things that we've talked about with Positive Workforce, which is an awesome organization, I want us all to be thinking about how we can get gainful permanent employment for our community. So he and I have had conversations, and Dem and I have had conversations, Anne-Marie, but I really want you, when we come back to the table in March, ways that we could focus for those that are within that coming out of high school and college age, and also to those that are within a developmental track, say like we talked about Partnership Mount Sinai, what are they looking at for coding, billing, things like that. So please put on your thinking caps when we have our meeting next month. If you'd like to get on a phone call with me, once I get my full voice back, very pleased to do that as well. And thank you for Union Settlement and Uptown Grand Central, and hope to look forward to your partnership at this event as well. Any questions? No? Okay. All right. With that, we are looking, any new business? Yes, Nye.
I just have a question. I was sick and I didn't get to go to the walkthrough of African American Burial Ground on Saturday, and I was just wondering if anybody else went. If not, Carrie, do you, Chair, could we have 1 minute just to get an update on that?
Sure.
Aye, so the EDC had the walkthrough of the African Burial Ground site on Saturday. It was intended, the audience was intended for potential cultural partners that will run the cultural aspect of the site. The site is intended to be built out. This is the old bus depot on 126, 127th between 2nd and 1st, which on the eastern portion is where the burial ground is located. A lot of it has been lost to some of the construction on the Tri-Borough Bridge and some of the other things that have disturbed the soil there. But the eastern portion of the bus depot is intended to be a memorial because that's where the burial ground was. And then the other portion of the site will be some kind of housing, affordable housing building. So they're looking for the cultural partner right now for the memorial section, and then intend to recruit the developer for the larger building later. But it was attended by maybe, I would say there was like 30 people there. They gave tours of the site. It was great. And there was a pretty good turnout. So they're definitely, we as a, being with this committee for many years, we've been talking about it for a long time, but it never, there are always more people that don't know that thing is there. Like, it's always like, what, there's a burial ground? And that, that's kind of incumbent on all of us to get the word out, because it's really important for East Harlem for people to know that the first part of Harlem was in East Harlem. Harlem was established here in 1660. And for people to recognize that history, I think is important. So anyway, the answer tonight was that it was a good tour, and EDC collected a lot of questions from people that are going to be answered and made public on the RFP page within a few weeks, I think. Thank you, Karen. Yes.
Thank you for that update. Very helpful. Thank you to both of you. With that, is there any other new business? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands. With that, we'll call the roll. Khalid, if you don't mind. I'll just say present. Yes, Debbie, you had a question?
I do. It's kind of related to like old business, but
Okay.
I was wondering, what is the status of the Tito Puente statue? And if possible, can we get an update?
Hello? Sorry, broke up on my end. I think my internet.
I
What is the
was saying,
status on the Tito Puente?
yeah, I was just saying in terms of just an update, because it's been a minute. And I think that maybe we should get an update.
I think it'd be great. I don't have an update right now, but I will chase that down this week.
Ready for
Are you there?
roll call, Chair?
Yeah, Debbie was just asking. I don't know if my internet connection is a little unstable. I will chase that down and get an update. Thank you, Debbie, for raising that with the Tito Puente. So, and yes, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Excellent. Rosa Diaz.
Present.
Thank you. Ayana Joseph.
Present.
Samantha Pergero.
Present.
Debbie Quinones.
Present.
Quinones, excuse me. Thank you. Xavier Santiago.
Present.
Vinny Torres.
He was here.
I know. I just.
I'm here.
He's
I'm here,
here.
present.
Thank you, Vinny.
Present.
Thank you. Anne Marie Vasquez.
Present.
Thank you.
Present.
Nye Whitaker.
Present.
Agatha White. I'm sorry. Yes, Agatha White.
Present.
Excellent. That's it, Chair.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for a very productive meeting. Look forward to seeing you at full board tomorrow. Have a good evening. Good night.
Thank you, Xavier.
Thank
Good evening to
you.
all.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.